All right, hello, ngHouston. We are live at Improving tonight with Ricardo Mello giving us a demo of Wakanda. So I'm going to pass it over to Ricardo. Welcome, Ricardo.
Thank you. Let's go. So let me share my screen. Right. All right. Let's start with the product itself. So to talk about Wakanda, I have to open the Wakanda platform. So, but first, let me close whatever I have here. Sorry, I did not check. Let me close this one. Let me close the product. And let's restart. So Wakanda comes with a server and a client. Okay. And they come together, but of course you can separate them. You can install the server whatever you want. Then when you click on the Wakanda, it's going to open a tool. And I want to divide this talk. Actually, let's open the talk. I want to divide this talk about our concept of digital factories. Okay? We think that we are in the right time for automating a bunch of things and impact and create a bigger impact on teams, clients, and developers. That's our premise, especially on the data side, and we're going to touch that in a second. But digital factories, why? But we have a sense that if we could, we would be releasing apps every day. That's kind of a sense that we have when we talk to clients. Their IT departments, they are always like underwater. Marketing is always asking more than what they can provide. And in fact, I have seen some trend, which is quite of weird, but I have seen marketing departments taking the lead and hiring some people to just develop apps for them because their IT departments cannot deliver on time. Right? So another thing that is interesting is because the APIs right now became a standard. As everybody knows, APIs are everywhere. So in the concept of the MVP, minimal valuable product, is still very, very current. Right? So my initial goal for this demo was to do this. I want to build an app that wants to use an API. And I found this API, which is a movie API. It's pretty cool. You know IMDb? So those guys are TMDB, a way for you to query a bunch of movies. Like I get a little get there. I pass the movie, the ID, and I get all the credits and everything. So I thought, oh, how nice would get an API and show through the API what we could do in terms of standardizing my data layer. Also, I went to Microsoft, and Microsoft now has something cool called the cognitive services, which means that I can pass that photo here, and Microsoft can analyze that photo and tell me what it is, right? Many useful things that we can do with that. I can show a photo and say to Microsoft, this guy is going to say he's happy, or he's sad, or there is this much happiness, this much sadness, and stuff like that. They can OCR an image as well. And their services go doing a bunch of things. I'm not connected to Microsoft at all. I just thought that was cool. And so I decided to add that to my demo. Okay. But my ultimate goal, it is like, I don't want to go, and if you ever have done any work of mapping an API to be using in your app or in your systems, on your web apps, you know that's quite a bit of work. You need to go to the API, understand how the API works, do the correct calls, and that's fine. I have to do that to use that API. But what I want is, once I'm done, I want that you come next and just say, give me that API and give me how I use that in a very elegant way. And we're going to try to show if the product gets there. And from my front end, I would like also that my front end is highly connected to those backends. Also, so if I define a backend that has this and that API and this and that database, I want maybe use a template that's already take the benefit of that and right away starts for you. So we're going to see that. But when I say all those little abstract ways, and a more practical way would be, select is everywhere. Sometimes if you were using SQL database, and it can be any SQL, from MySQL to Oracle, you were doing that type of thing with joins and everything like that. And if you were accessing some API, you have to go and do an HTTP request and get your API information, right? So our goal is to get, for example, for the SQL, and import the schema, and have also actually a model of all that infrastructure that is in the SQL. And then I would like to query like this way. I don't want to do the queries and joins and everything. If I have a relationship, as I mentioned before here, between user has many avatars, I want to write user.avatars.name and get the user.avatar.name. And let in our product, we figure out that, transform that to a select, and send the select back to MySQL. Okay? At the same time, I want to get all this API stuff, which can be very complex because an API has many calls. But I want to transform, at the end of the day, my API, if I do the movies, what I want to have is, I want to have a movie table, a character table, and an artist table. And I want to go and say, oh, give me the movie 1, 2, 3, and go and give me all the characters of that movie. Or movie.characters.artist, and get all the artists from it. And let someone figure out, someone came before me, which in this case was me, but created that infrastructure for me. I see it visually, and I can apply right away. So when I start my project, I can just type and go. Start to query automatically. Okay, is that making sense? Okay. So I want to do things like that. I want to see, give me all the movies, or all the idea of all the movies, or give me the movie 238, all the characters. Get the first movie, or I want to get the characters, then I make a query and bring me all that that has that pattern. And I want to go to the artist, so on. Okay? So, yes?
Is this similar to entity framework and link?
No. No, because there is some work to do that you have to do when you do this, right? So we're going to touch a little bit there. Okay? So I have to code. The first guy doing this thing, he did a little bit of work. And he creates something that will be exploitable after directly. Question. Did I answer your question?
Well, maybe
and the process?
in the process.
Okay. Okay. I guess it's time for them. All right. So how do we start? Right? And Wakanda is, I'm going to show a quick example. I can create a new solution. And then, well, Wakanda asks me to define what I'm going to be using the backend, what I'm going to use on the mobile, and what I'm going to use as a web. I can get all three, 2 of them, 1 of them, and work like that. For now, I'm going to just do backend. Okay? Doesn't matter the name right now, because this is going to be a very quick example before I move to the real example. It's just for you to understand the concept. So when I create something, Wakanda does the scaffolding for you. But I'm using all the tools that we are used to use in our daily lives. Okay, Wakanda just automated them. We're using the Node ecosystem, and for the mobile and the web parts, you're going to see that we exactly do npm install. It is the same cycle that you guys are used to. Every developer today use. Okay, but when I create a backend, it comes with a bootstrap file, which I can tell every time that you start the server, do this, right? It comes with a database, which is, at this point, the Wakanda database, but we can add others. We're going to see that. And I can install some modules, some regular JavaScript modules. So if I click this button here, I'm going to see that I have a model editor that I can just create a new class and define that the name is, I don't know, user, and then I create the user ID, and then name, and then string, and then, okay, the telephone, and a string, and then I can create a new one, just call, I don't know, address. And for this one, I'm gonna have the type of that, the type of the address, string, and I don't know, just the street right now, just to give you an example. But now here I'm going to type that an address, it is related to a user, right? So I'm going to say, a user. Is the type user, is a collection, or it is a one only user. One user can have many addresses. So I'm going to just put one, and it's going to create both sides a relationship. So now I have the user relationship here, and here I can just type addresses. So in one table I have name, telephone, and addresses, and the other one I have type strip user address. So this is just to show you how you create a model. Okay, you can create a model visually or by code. So we can just type that model. There's an API that you can just do exactly what I just did. Okay, I'm going to close this and I'm going to open a different solution. Don't save, don't care. This is just a new example. I'm going to create a new solution, and now I'm going to use what we call a template. So I can come to my Wakanda and start my model. And at some point, I can say, I want to create a template of this. So next time, whenever I start a project, I can use that template. I can use that backend. It makes a lot of sense. It's like a snapshot of an instance for me. That every time that I get to the point, I say, this is interesting. This has this table or that table or that table that I like to use. You can extract them if you want, and you can create a separate model. Right? So one of the first models that you probably are going to create is a logging model. Because I can put in the bootstrap, so I can define the tables, users and avatars, for example, and I can put in my bootstrap to create already a user. So if I start something on my front end, I have already some data inputted for me and stuff like that. That's exactly what I did. So if you look here, you're going to see that I have something called custom logging. Okay, so I'm going again to just the back end. Just starting slow to show you how the process goes. Then after, we're going to jump the tables and the connection with the Microsoft and the connection with the TMDB API. Okay, but
are you going to show us how to make a template like that?
I could, if you guys want, I can. But it's mainly copy and paste to a folder inside the product. You know, it's just there's a documentation about that, so you can just look. It's very straightforward. Okay, but I can show. I can show if you guys want. Yeah, sure. All right, so where I am. Okay, so I have a little bootstrap. When it starts, I just define that this is a custom logging. So I want to use a table because Wakanda comes with a user and groups management, but I want to use my table user, right? So if I open the model here, sorry, I should have started from the model. You're going to see that what I have is users and avatars. Okay? Interesting things about that, it is, for example, I'll show in a second. But so I have two tables that I created, and then I made a snapshot. The bootstrap starts and executes something that's called, if we look at it again, in the second line here, I have something that's right at the beginning, initialize my data, which is in this folder here, works. And I go there and I create a user, a group, and I put myself on it. Right? So every time that I start the server, I delete and recreate the user, which is fine. But it's already something that I have ready for me to start working. And I have a module that does that logging, specific logging that I want. Okay? And it has a little bit of a code here which does the hashtag, the hashtag, the encryption for me. Okay? So I'm going to go back to the model. Okay. Interesting thing is about this model. Very simple, but I have some fields. Wakanda let you define fields that are physically stored in the database. Could be in the Wakanda database or in the MySQL database. but there are fields that are only available for you as a front end. For example, when a field is stored, but password, it is not a scalar field, it's a calculated field, okay? And I define the get and the set methods for that type of field. So I can go to the get and see that the get just returns asterisk. Okay, so I don't want nobody all the time, never to look my password. And the set, I just transform my password and a value that is a H1A key. Okay, and I store physically that value on my module here on the H1 key. So if I come now to my backend and run a JavaScript file, so I can come here now and just say, okay, I haven't started the server yet. So let me start the server. I don't need mobile. I don't need web. I could have run anyways. I run it. So my server is up. So I can now do, so it ran it the first time. It execute my worker, which create the data. Now I can do something like this. And I have this is going to be a little smaller. I don't have a way to augment that. But as you can see, it created the first user. My get for the password just brings me asterisk. So if someone in the front end is trying to get that information, it's going to be asterisks. And the hash key is calculated here. Okay? That making sense so far? Okay. On top of that, for every single model that you create, Wakanda gives you, another one. Yeah. There we go. I have here is a person or is user, right? So I can just go and say user, and I have the same thing. Okay. So you have for every single model that you create, you have a REST API ready for you. You can get your MySQL database and have a REST API right away. Just import the schema, and you're going to have that. Okay.
That's really cool.
That's very cool.
Yeah, we love that.
So is the Wakanda product targeted to front-end developers that may not be good at databases, or is it meant to be a more powerful tool for a full-stack developer that already knows how all this works? Who are you trying to get to use this product?
That's a great question.
Repeat the question before you answer, because they can hear you and they can't hear Josh.
Okay. So the question is mainly, what's the target, right? What type of developer are we targeting, right? And we see that as this is very hard to define that. Huh? Yeah. It's quite hard, but we are definitely looking for the full stack developer. Okay, someone that is touching the front end, he knows well, and you're going to see why, because we're going to start to create some front end as well. But they need something to speed up the back end in an elegant way as well. All right, and keep everything in JavaScript, and with a model that's very elegant at the end, we're going to see that probably the elegance is there. So you guys can start to feel already, I hope. So did I answer your question? Yeah. All right, perfect. So let me move forward. I'm going to close this now. So this back end is now ready for me to start any application, right? Okay. But I'm not starting that application yet. I'm going to start to, no, I don't care, don't save. See, it's very cheap to create like projects and start projects and MVPs and any idea, because as you're going to see all our templates, I have like 200 here. That's probably just the last, I don't know, a month that I have been doing things. And it's always when you get those things hooked, right? Because now I could create, let me finish that example then. I could create now something that has the custom login, right? And I have probably a mobile template that has login. This one, for example, has a login. And this one is the one that has a login. So what I'm creating right now, I'm going to create a backend, a mobile folder, and a web folder, all already scaffolded with templates. And for the mobile and the web, it's exactly the same thing. It was a regular Angular project that I created. And at some point, I did a snapshot and say, every time that I start this project now, put that information. Okay? So you're going to see that if I open here the web, I have this scaffolding done for me. I don't have the node modules yet, because we don't add that, otherwise it becomes too heavy to start a new solution. But we have the package.json, right? So I can just say run now, and I'm going to run all 3 of them. I'm going to run, and we're going to go for a little ride here. There we go. Let's run. Okay, so what is Wakanda doing here? You see those things here. It's not magic, actually. What we do is like we have a file called Wakanda dot in the back. Oh, sorry, in the back here. Tasks. Okay, so Wakanda lets you define the tasks that you want to run. Okay, and you can have a bunch of tasks. What I'm doing here is npm install. I'm doing the build, the serve, everything that I need to create my solution and pop up the solution for me. Can I change that? Yes, you can change. It's just tasks that I created here, and we have a little bit of way of doing, but you guys are going to see it's pretty standard. You have the arguments, the command that you were doing, and then Wakanda just runs through it. And it shows you, so I can see here what's going on. I can click here on the task, oh, that task finished. Okay.
So I have another question.
Sure.
Are these scripts that you're running,
Ah.
is Wakanda packaged with Node.js?
Yeah.
Or is it your system
No.
running Node.js?
That's a great question. So
It is particular.
let's repeat the question. Great questions. So is Wakanda packaged with everything, or no? No, it is not. You define in your system. And I didn't show something. There you go. I have one login here, right? Which is the first one this is the mobile. And I have another one popping up, which is probably the web. There now, okay? So, and the advantage is my template, okay, is already hooked with my backend. So now if I type here the name that was created, right? Because I created a name when I start the server, so I can just put Ricardo Mello at wakanda.io. I think I need to put this R, smaller one. You can see I have a little demo there, and at the same time here, the same thing here. So I have a username, which is going to be the same thing. So my team, when they need to start something, they already know what. It's a matter of finding the template and and starting a project. And we have tons of templates. So now I can see employees, and if I log out and I try to see employees again, I don't see it, of course. The nice thing. So, anyways, that's the idea. So now I have a backend and 2 front ends connected with that backend. Okay, is that making sense? Still good. I didn't wait for the answer. So I'm going to close this and then finally open the TMDB. Okay. So let's create the TMDB. Let's create a solution that does that whole scenario that I said. Let's list movies from TMDB, the movies, and then click on the pictures or in some button, and then use the Microsoft Cognitive Service to analyze that. Okay, let's do it. First, backend. Of course, I have one backend with everything. Don't worry about that right now. I'll explain step by step, and then let's start from scratch on this one. Okay, I'm going to call this one, and then this one is going to be, oops. ngHouston. There you go. So I create. All right. Okay, I have a backend. Guess what? My backend has already a logging that I just copied from the last one that I just showed you, right? So if I go to the modules, okay, you see that I have 3 now. I have the main, which is where my login is, and I can show you. Okay, there you go, my avatar. The same thing that you guys saw before. I have one that's called the TMDB, which is going to be exactly the model that I show in that picture. So I have characters, movies, and artists. And I have a cognitive, which is a model that has just one table and exposed some methods for me. And actually, I did not, I could have done this without 2 fields. But what happens is sometimes you ask my idea was sometimes I ask some questions to the Microsoft service and they don't answer. For example, some pictures, they cannot detect if the person is sad or happy because it's a dog picture. So it's kind of hard for them to decide. So when that happens, I log into the table what was the action that I was doing and what was the picture that we're talking about. Okay? So that's why I create a table. Anyways, how do I do that? So for the user and avatar, you guys saw it. I create visually. But how did I do for the TMDB? Okay. So first thing, we are talking about HTTP request that goes and check my every time that I try to use. Let me back up here. Every time that I try to get my model, something like a movie or something, I need to do my HTTP request, and I need to do and get the information there out there on the API. For sure, I have a module. I create a module. That's called TMDB. And if you open, you're going to see that I have a kind of a little factory here that runs all my XSHR. And then I have a key that the API gave to me, a token that I have to use. And then all the calls for the API. When I need to get the movies by ID, when I need to get all the movies, when I need to get artists, and I get to get all the artists. But here's the beauty. I don't know if you noticed, but when I passed through it, you saw that I did how you get all the movies, and how do you get one movie, all right? That is almost enough for me to give you all those possibilities that we saw it before. And those possibilities are something like this for the movies, right? Because mainly, I'm getting all them and then doing a subquery on that scope, or I'm doing a specific one and then moving through my chain, right? That makes sense? But that's mainly what's going to happen is when you're analyzing your API, you can say, oh, this API, what do I want? The movie API was huge. I could get, for my purpose, I just want the movies, the characters, and the artists. You know, so I lock myself on what I need from that API. Then after, okay, how do I create my model? My model was not created visually. I actually had to write the model. And here you see an example of a creation. I just see, oh, my movie. There's an ID, and it's a type of distributed storage, number, key. You guys are going to have an idea. And when I have a related attribute, I create the related attribute, and I create the table that's going to go and do the rest of the job, okay? So that's how I create visually that view, okay? That's how I code that view. Pretty straightforward, not a mod. And then after, I add all the information that I need to get the artist, the movie, and the character. And that's a little bit of work. As I mentioned, it was not magic, right? So someone, me in this case, had to come before, create that, do all the HTTP requests, and then go into movies, and then say, well, for all entities, that's what I'm going to do. Okay? I'm going to go, because when I go to the API, they offer me 300 fields. I don't want that. I want just 5. So I define what fields I'm going to get, what is my call to that I need to do, and that will take all entities. Okay? And I'm going to do that for a few. There's actually 13. But most of them, you don't need to implement. It depends on your implementation. But the beauty is you own the code. There's a few methods that you need to know that you need to implement. Actually, 3 are very important. And then once you've done that, you already have the API working for you as an agnostic layer of JavaScript. So now I can just come to I can start the server. Did I put all these things here? Yeah, I put. So let's not run the mobile right now, otherwise it's going to take a little second. So I'm going to just run. And then let's open the test API. So at this point, if I run a user, I got the user that we are used to see it, right? Perfect. So now, if I have the movies, if I run the movies, I also have the movies here. I just got the IDs. So no, don't save anything. And I can get the movie 74745 title and run the Sixth Sense. And I can get all the characters. Let's get this one, which is more interesting. I can do characters. Core. If I run, there's a little bit more sophisticated query. So the beauty is, I defined what are my fields in my tables. Now the API works for me, and it's all packaged on one single layer of JavaScript. Okay? So the cognitive, as you can tell, is exactly the same thing. So I can go to the cognitive API and see that my model. Oh, actually, this one I create visually, and then I just included two fields, right? And I have something called environment, which pretty much tells the keys that I'm using, right? And I have something called and the methods that I'm using. So if I go to cognitive, there are some methods that I can use. Describe an image, it does that. And cognitive recognize an image, it does that. Okay, so at the end, if I open my browser now, and I say REST, yes, why not? And I say movie. I have my movie REST API on top of the API of there. But this API now is exactly what I want. It's exactly what I need to do for my business. Okay? All right. So let's move ahead. All right. Let's code the front end. Okay? I'm going to execute the front end as well. Let's run it through it. npm install, and see if I can open up. Oh, there you go. So you see what's going on. npm.
How did you find out what kinds of methods you could run using cognitive? Just through their documentation?
Sure. Yes. I show you right now. I can show you right now. I chose a few, right? So when I did in a way that I can add more, because they have a pretty standard way of doing, so I was able to industrialize quite a bit that process. But if you type Microsoft cognitive, boom, there we go. Oh, that's subscriptions. No, that's not. No, it's not. Let me go. Microsoft cognitive services. So I go here. You have a little example. See that you can figure out. So you go to their documentation. You're going to see that they have all those APIs: vision, face recognition, video API. You can do that for videos as well. Emotional, speech. It's huge. It's huge. That's why it's so interesting. Well, if you're just playing for yourself, it's free. But once you start to get hit from like if you have because they give you like hits per month or something like that. So if you're just coding for yourself, it's going to be free, or in development process. But if you release something, Microsoft, they are going to probably, when you start to make money, they want to make their share as well, right?
I have to do another presentation when you finish your presentation.
What?
Cognitive.
It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. Yeah. So we saw that. It's still open here. Let me ask this one. So we saw the same template that we saw before. I'm using the same template as before. I'm going to Ricardo.Mello at Wakanda.io, and then 1, 2, 3. So now let's build our application. So I have I know my template. So I know that when I build my template is I have a series of cards there, a list. And I have buttons here that one button shows a little information. It has a picture, but I didn't upload the picture. And the second one gives me a graph. Okay? And the third one is the same as the first. Okay? That will be my application. Okay? So, but what happens is, let me close everything. Close all. I have too many because we have been don't save. So good. So let me open mobile. And then, as you can see, it's a normal Angular project. And by the way, you don't need to use Wakanda to code your Angular project. Once that is done and your backend is figured out, just do VS Code if you want, do whatever, Sublime if you like to use. We have an editor too. Sometimes practical, but I have seen it, and myself, I am guilty of using sometimes other editors. So, source, I have my app, exactly the same thing that you would code normally, right? But I know that if I go to my page, then I go to my home page, which is my entry page, and I click the home TS, my template is a kind of already ready for using Wakanda, right? And what does that mean? It means that it has already uploaded the Wakanda library, a service. Okay, Wakanda provides a service that you just install it, and then all that model that we're working is available for you. Simple as that. Okay, no mystery. Okay, so because I have Wakanda now, and I declare Wakanda in my constructor, so that card that we are seeing here, let me do something smart here. So that card that we are seeing here is this one that I just created, right? But I can come and say, those I have in all my templates, because that's the way that you're going to query. So I'm going to uncomment. This is not going to work because I don't know which database I'm querying, what actually I'm doing. But let's go through it. First line, I just get the catalog. I'm going to go and say, give me all my tables, and put all that in the DS variable. The same thing as I use in the backend, okay? The DS variable that we standardize. But you can put any variable you want, right? And here I go and say, well, for this first page, I want just like all the elements of one of my tables, okay? And then let's get it. One of our tables was movie, right? So I got all the movies. Perfect. And then, so, okay, I know that my cards use an image, a title, a description, and an ID. Good. So let me go to my model now. The model, that one. So of the movies, where is this? The TeamDB. There we go. And my movie table. Okay. I have something called poster path, which is the poster image of my thing. So I can just put it here. And the image bring me the path of that. And the title, I don't remember if I have a title. Yeah, I do have a title. Bring the title. And the description, overview, sounds good. Put overview there. And then ID. I could say that this angle here is kind of hard to do it. Okay, pretty much that will do it. So I'm querying my movies, and I'm bringing the results, and I'm looping through the results and add my cards. All right, this may work. Let's see. I'm going to save.
Does Wakanda build types for you in the model and using TypeScript?
You have
Or do we have the ability to do that, to generate a type on those tables that we just looked at? Interface?
Yes, you don't yet.
Yeah, an interface.
Yeah, you don't yet. We're working on it.
It's something on the.
We already have the TypeScript backend. I don't know if you noticed what I was doing. See, if I come here, and I see that create a new solution, and I say like my backend is now actually a TypeScript backend. Okay. So it's coming. I didn't show because it's a little wobbly in development phase right now, really. So we have some things that. So there you go. We have our movie with everything. This is coming from my API, way there somewhere there, right? And any one of my team can now come in and start a project with that as a table, as tables, as easy as that. Okay, so also I'm seeing this guy here, which I don't want to see anymore. So if I save, so I don't have any more of the demo on top, which is good. There we go. This is looking good. I didn't show you, my template comes also with a little menu on the side. that I can see settings, and it's already built in my template, and it's already picking up the picture from my user table that I start on my Bootstrap that I uploaded and did. Okay, so I have plenty of things that are already done for me. Okay, so my next thing is start to use the Microsoft service. So it would be nice to click in something like here and see Microsoft analyzing this picture. So let's do it. I have card tapped. Let's do first card. Okay. So my template already came with what are the information that I used on this page. So if I click first here, you're going to see that I did in a way that, so if I pass those parameters, they're going to be updated on the other side. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to repeat the same thing that we have done. So I'm going to take this out. I have this thing pretty much all the time. It's the same way that you're going to use pretty much all the time. I'm going to query, and then the results, I'm actually get this, oops, too fast. Position not so good. Okay, I can cut this, put this right here. Okay, I could even have done my templates precise like that, but there we go. Ah, it looks a little funky. Why? Parameters. Okay, not complaining, looking good. So, okay. Perfect. So what I'm going to be querying. So I would like to query this time my cognitive. And let's say describe image, because it's one of my methods. I'm going to just confirm that. And go back to my ngHouston and my model. I could have the models. I'm talking about the cognitive. So let me go to my cognitive model. And I have describe image as one of the methods. Perfect. So let's go describe image. So describe image is there, card, okay, that looks good, good. My result, okay, my model, and now let's say, well, the title is gonna be, I don't know, tags. And then cognitive from poster, movie poster, oops. Description, let's say now result dot text and label cognitive confidence. I'll explain that in a second, because now I know what my API is capable of doing. And here result dot value. Probably that. Let's run and see what that happens. Save. Okay, so let's say first click. Great. Read property model control from defined cannot read property model control. Oh, because this is not this anymore, it's that. All right. And
I have not seen that before.
There's an old way of doing it. You can see by my yeah. You can see that in my gray hair. Sometimes it shows up. Okay. Do we have it, or it's still a little bit wobbly?
You should be using
Oh, look at that. Yeah, exactly. So I'm sending to confidence is not coming. Oh, because value is actually confidence. Okay, let's save that. Save that. And I will show you what is the confidence thing of the Microsoft. So when I went to the Microsoft API, when they try to understand the picture, they bring it back how confident they are that the picture is correct. So if I get this one, they're less confident. But if I think this one, for example, let's get this one. And I think that. There you go. Tim Robbins and Morgan Freeman are posing for probably a picture or something. There you go. And they have 90% of confidence that that's what they are doing. That's pretty cool. Also, I forgot something, which is this guy here. Elements, I can just put result.grid and put like tags, because Microsoft also generate tags. That's why I call it tags. I save. Now, down. There we go, movies are there. Let's get the tags for this one. And no tags. Let me remember what it was. So I need to, is result dot. The API, I don't remember. I'm going to cheat, okay? I'm going to cheat something. Ha, tags. Of course it should be tags. I don't know why I was thinking it was grid. Tags.
I'm putting it hard.
Yeah. Yep. I'm not a super.
So Ricardo, do you know if Microsoft has bots or cognitives for movies? Or, yeah.
If they have like a product like that? I don't know.
Yeah, like right now you pass a picture and
Yeah.
it recognizes the picture to give you what it is.
Yeah.
Do you know if they have something for videos?
They do, and detect the whole thing that's going on in the video. It's pretty good, I tried. In my library, I do something with video as well. I didn't implement, but there is. Another thing that they have is like specifically for movies, they have like celebrities and stuff like that. They can recognize that. So let's say that this is now working first. And tags are there. Sweet, huh? Not always, yeah. See, not always, but look, confidence, 62. They're not that confident. I have seen it even worse. Confidence levels. Yes, exactly. For example, this the Godfather. Let's see the Godfather. He's gonna get it because Marlon Brando is very vulnerable. There you go. Marlon Brando wearing a suit and a tie. Confidence 95%. Yeah, that's pretty high. They're sure that Marlon Brando is there, and he's wearing a tie.
That's a deep question.
I can probably answer to that.
Yeah.
That's why I'm asking about the movie or the video. I used to work for the Anderson.
Okay.
About 10 years ago, somebody asked me, a principal investigator, to do something like this with pictures and videos of colonoscopies.
Huh.
So if you push the picture, it tells you if this picture has 3 polyps of size 3 millimeters and between 3 and 1 or something like that. Videos, analyzing videos, you pass a 30-minute video. Instead of the PI being there in front of the computer counting the polyps, if you pass the video, it counts for you. Then it's a done deal.
Yeah. So you could use technically now the Microsoft API to do exactly like that, to recognize things like that. I don't know if they have specific for that. So let me finish with, let's not finish, but what I want to show. And now I'm going to totally cheat because I want to show you the emotions. They're pretty cool. But it's going to be a little bit more of code because the emotionals, there's a little bit more code. So I'm going to get the code, but it's going to be pretty much the same. We're going to see them after, but it's not that much. But it'll be a little hassle to be typing on that. 2 seconds. There you go. I don't need this anymore. I put this one. We're going to check it out. Oh, there's an error there because this is not moving. Did you notice that I'm doing 2 different ways here, and I did it on purpose actually? That's the first one. I just did the s dot the name of the table dot the name of the method, right? And the problem is sometimes the TypeScript, because it hasn't read yet the model, it cannot figure out that yet. So if I don't want to see this little red thing on the bottom of my thing, I just use like and an array. So if I do that, as you're going to see, it's the same thing. The important thing is I'm using my DS variable to just go and do the job for me and getting me the information. Then it's just about treating that information to the point that I just update my result that was here, what was before, right? With the title, the labels, and the values that I want to show. So if I save, it's going to run.
What is DS supposed to say?
The data store.
Okay.
Yeah. But you can use anything you want, right? So it's just,
okay, you can change that.
Yeah. We just use that because since in the server we use DS as well to run. So let's see the emotions of this one. This one's a good one for emotions. Let's see if it works. There you go. Microsoft says that sadness and a little bit of neutral. Pretty cool. Yeah. But also, I have a template. I'm doing a nice chart, a nice thing with very little code. So my team can really do things in very little time. That's the message that I would like to pass. For example, this one, let's see, which one do you want to see? The emotions. The emotions on Schindler's List. That should be fun. It probably is not going to detect. Let's see it. Yes. It's probably going to go and say, oh, look at that. Not full object. I have something in my thing that's not working. So good.
What chart is library?
It's probably,
For the charts, what library?
good question. We can walk.
I think it's fixed.
I'm using Chart, the Charts page, right, that I'm using. I don't remember. I've done this, page charts. Yeah. So, yeah. Okay, so I didn't show you two things that I'm going to show now just to finish as well. It is the fact that when I run for mobile or web, especially for mobile, I can put in my preference how I want to run. Right? I can open a preview, which is just Ionic web view of my application on iOS, on Windows app. Okay? And I can also say, no, emulate the thing for me, or put in a device if you have everything hooked to here. So I can run that one, for example, now. So if I run now, it's going to call the emulation and everything and do that. Okay. So if we wait a little bit, it's probably going to pop it up something here that I'm running an emulator, and my machine is going to heat up the fan because it's usually like that. So let's see if that works, and I'll have. Yeah. So you have a way to define your environment that you want to run. I like the web, especially on development, is nice, the web view, because it's quick and you can test and everything. And then once in a while, once in a blue moon, I just run the emulator to see what happens. So, come on, let's go. Emulator coming. So in a second, the emulator is going to be here. We can come back to this. Let me just finish in them. The presentation, let's say, that's the goal for us is to help developers and teams, especially teams, to start to produce, to become like a digital factory. And we think that with those snapshots of templates and front ends and the combination of the two, you can. We have seen that some teams that they're not producing as much, and then they become to be like a little factory. We try not to get in your way because you're using the same tools that you're used to use. A little bit of configuration here and there that you need to do to fine-tune Wakanda. If you want to use Wakanda for your front-end development, maybe a little fine-tuning things. There you go, the emulator is coming. So, but other than that, we try to get out of your way and just trying to facilitate everything for you. So, and since we are in the movies, let me show you that, that's what I was thinking. We are trying to fight to not get into your way. Yes. Yeah, got it. We think that many systems those days, you kind of wake up and it's like a monkey around. And and we try to make that monkey disappear. And sometimes you know that the monkey's there, but sometimes hard to get away, especially for. I love this one. We try to give a lot of elegance, and that's why I put it twice, because I think this is so elegant. It's like fantastic. There it is. Or maybe 3 times. Yeah. But most, we try to just get out of your way, automate everything as possible, so you work in a precise way, so you can just do your job, and that's it. I'm out of here. I want to thank you guys for such a nice place. Thank you. All right, so is the emulator there? There you go. We are in the, oh, it's going to be the keyboard. Oh, yeah. Let me see if it's going to work here. I don't know if I set up the keyboard to do it. Come on. Yeah. Oh, there you go. But that's going to be challenging. Well, you guys probably going to have to believe me.
I think that's your password.
Oh, you're correct. There you go. Let's go. Gonna make it. Bear with me. Let's go. And I should have done a little smaller. Huh? That's I need to change my template. And actually, my template would have just demo. If it is for my team, right? Wakanda. .io. And for the password, that I did a good job. Oh no, come on. Don't do that with me. Yeah. That's the end of grand finale. 1, 2, 3. And let's go.
It's not very secure.
No, I know. I'm in trouble. Oops. There you go. You have your app there. It's called the emulator. I don't know if I'm using the right things. I'm not a big, for mobile. I don't know how to configure things to a point that it's very.
That emulator's notorious.
Yeah. There you go. Look at it. All right. So if you guys have any questions or anything, we can start to